YNW Melly, his real name is Jamel Demons. He's actually in plain clothes in the courtroom for the first time in months, again, as this judge really starts the long process of seating a new jury.
He decides to flip and become a cheese eater.
Sir, lastly, and I want to make it very clear on the record, and it's unrelated to this negotiated change of plea, I guess at some point after the fact, the state wants to take a proffer from you or have a discussion with you, ask you some questions about whatever that may be.
Did you know Bortlen is accepting this plea deal because Melly already tried snitching against Bortlen? No one talks about it, but Melly's lawyer already tried putting the crime onto Bortlen in the original trial.
Those were his lies. Cortland Henry shows up at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. You don't see him sitting there, but where you will see him sitting is in the driver's seat of a car with two bodies, car riddled with and when he shows up with a change of clothing, change of shirt, powder residue on his hands, evidencing that he had discharged a firearm. And he lies. He lies about where the incident occurred. He lies about how it occurred. And he lies about not having a phone. I think it was Miss Bradley herself who said, everybody has a phone in his pocket, not Cortland Henry.
As Melly's own lawyer was telling the jury that Bortlen lied to the feds, Bortlen had powder on his hands and more, which got Bortlen angry and started the possibility of him taking a plea, as he tweeted out, "Mind games don't work on people like me," alongside a handshake emoji. Bortlen's plea deal had been in the works for a long time, and it was only a matter of time before he snitched on Melly. It's important to read the news of Bortlen has agreed to a plea deal. In exchange for his plea, he will be sentenced to 10 years in prison, followed by 6 years of probation. He was facing multiple life sentences. As part of the deal, Bortlen agreed to tell everything he knows about the Melly Dublin case. As the judge even said, "I don't know how your lawyers pulled this off."
And it's my understanding that you want to resolve both cases today. Is that correct? And that resolution is an agreement you've reached with the state, the terms of which are as follows. Number one, in the 19 case, you're going to plead no contest to both counts of accessory after the fact. In the 23 case, you're going to plead no contest to all 4 counts as charged. In exchange for that, the state is going to null process, that is, drop the 2 first-degree. In exchange for that, I'm going to adjudicate you guilty on the 2 accessory counts as well as the tampering count. I'm going to sentence you to 10 years in Florida State Prison.
This is the greatest plea deal of all time, as he got his punishment reduced from 5 life sentences to 10 years in prison with time served. This resulted in academics writing, the judge says, on both charges that Bortlen pled no contest to, that he has to provide a factual basis for him to accept the plea. You have to tell a factual story of how you committed an accessory to the crime, which confirms that the crime happened. It's a gunner plea, except with the prefer he can't say yes ma'am. He's got to sing like Franklin, as he explained how it's like gunner's plea.
I did tweet out saying people are upset. I said, this is a gunner plea. This is a gunner plea. This isn't a plea saying you have to tell on him, but this is a plea that you're going to have to provide all the details that they were missing to convict him. That's why it's a gunner plea. Why do I say he signed a gunner plea? Because YNW Melly, and I watched the case, we covered it. YNW Melly's case is that, number one, you guys have not done a job to prove that this is actually they have proved, but prove that this is a homicide with this person being the offender. Also, the accessory after the fact plea confirms that Bortlen, that's kind of like almost like a sub part of a conspiracy, except you weren't with the conspiracy at first. You came in after the fact. What that proved is that they came in. What that proved is that Bortlen worked with someone after he acknowledged that a took place in trying to cover it up. You hear what I just said? When pleading to an accessory to after the fact, you have to acknowledge that it happened and you assisted someone or in some way to cover them. Now, if Melly's statement is, how do we know that? And then secondly, how do we know who did it? Because they said it was a drive-by.
Which resulted in the news of Lil Wayne, and Kodak Black's attorney Bradford Cohen says Bortlen has bit the cheese and is likely to flip on Melly after accepting a plea deal in the Dublin case.
All right, let's talk YNW Melly and YNW Bortlen. He is now doing the triple Lindy. For those youngsters that don't know what the triple Lindy is, it is when you do several flips off a high dive, and he will be flipping. He is going to be tell-all about anything he knows about the double case, and they will know if he's telling the truth or telling a lie when he gives his full quote-unquote confession as to what happened that evening. And that's what happens. A lot of times where guys are in the prison for 4 or 5 years awaiting trial and looking at a life sentence, and they're offered 10 years where they'll be home probably in another 3 years that he'll serve, he decides to flip and become a cheese eater. And that's what happens a lot of times on these cases. And I was expecting it to happen a lot sooner than it did. He held out for quite some time. But long story short is it looks like he's going to flip. And it makes the case on YNW Melly, depending on what he says, which I anticipate he'll say that YNW Melly is responsible.
As Even 69 wrote, Bortlen just accepted his plea deal with prosecutors. Melly is cooked. I've been told you about all these rap guys years ago, but since they were scared of how big I was, everyone singled me out. The judge even told Bortlen that the prosecutors wanted to do an interview.
Sir, lastly, and I want to make it very clear on the record, and it's unrelated to this negotiated change of plea, I guess at some point after the fact, the state wants to take a proffer from you or have a discussion with you, ask you some questions about whatever that may be. What I want you to understand, sir, is I guess that's part of this negotiated resolution, but your answers to any of those questions, whatever they might be, have no bearing on me and have no bearing on this negotiated resolution. In other words, the deal you've negotiated is the deal you've negotiated, and that's the ballgame. Do you understand all that, sir? Have you had enough time to talk to your lawyers about all that? They've answered all your questions? You're sure that that's what you want to do?
This resulted in Offset tweeting, "Melly getting snitched on by his best friend, free that boy. He's been locked up way too long." But this was Bortlen's only way of getting out without serving a life sentence, as these were his charges.
Mr. Henry, do you understand the offer that the state is making to you? Okay, your charge is as follows. Counts 1 and 2 is the first degree with a firearm. Those are capital felonies, which means it's a mandatory life sentence. If the jury convicts you of count 1 or count 2 as charged, that's life in Florida State Prison. I have no discretion. Count 3 and count 4 are accessory after the fact to the first degree. Those are each first degree felony. The maximum penalty for each of those is 30 years in Florida State Prison. Count 1 is tampering with a witness in a capital felony. That is punishable by life in Florida State Prison. Is directing the activities of a criminal. That's a first degree felony punishable by life. So the maximum penalty there is also life in Florida State Prison. Count 5 is conspiracy to commit tampering. And again, as it's charged, that is also a life felony. As to all the charges that you're facing, the maximum possible penalties are as follows. Life in Florida State Prison, followed by 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 75 years in Florida State Prison.
They are creating a plea deal with Bortlen for 3 reasons. With the first being on the night of the crime, Bortlen did an interrogation where the officer asked if he knew who did the crime.
By just telling me the truth, even if it's something that I don't want to hear, but I respect the truth rather than BS, okay? And a simple question. If you knew who did this, okay? You may or may not know. If you knew who did this, would you tell me? It's either a yes or no question. Answer.
Honestly?
Yeah, honestly. The truth. You wouldn't?
Because I wouldn't want to be a part of it. I wouldn't want to be.
Bortlen doesn't give a firm yes or no answer using his voice. Instead, he shakes his head no. This is because if it was Melly who did it, which he would obviously know that, and he was worried about showing body language to the officer that could indicate he was lying. So he only shook his head. This was a clear indicator to police that Bortlen never wanted to be involved. He knows what happened and he just wants out. The feds already have evidence of Melly admitting to it.
The PZ Gambino account asked him if he was okay, and his response was, "I did that," and placed a smiley face emoji.
And the next message from 10/26/2018 at 16:02 from Eastern Standard Time. The YNW Melly count says what?
After that, SHHHH.
However, Melly was feeling very confident about his case. He even ordered a $100,000 chain while in jail.
I would assume
still,
that he spent a lot of money on lawyers. Like an amount that would probably...
That kid spent a lot of money on a lot of things that shouldn't have been spent on.
Really? Like what else?
And cars, jewelry. And he's not even out to wear the jewelry. I'm like, why are you buying jewelry? You're not here to wear the jewelry.
No, definitely lawyers are probably the best thing you can spend
That's
money
what
on.
bro. But he's good with lawyers, bro. Like, money ain't an issue for lawyers. Like, he's fine, but it's just like, it was a lot of stuff that should have went to lawyers that he didn't spend on lawyers. And I'm like, bro. And now it's like, he don't even want the chain no more.
However, it's important to know why Bortlen snitched, which no one's talking about Melly's. Double retrial has been postponed once again. During a hearing, on August 8th, the Court of Appeals granted a stay in the case, allowing time to consider a motion. By the state attorney's office, the stay means the trial will not begin in September, and has now been pushed back to January of 2027 with the trial delayed. They made the deal with Bortlen. They first started it by cutting off any communication between Bortlen and Melly. The news wrote, a no communication order has been filed in the Melly trial. The order makes Melly and Bortlen completely separate. No talking, no lawyer. Talk just silence, as they originally wanted to do this, with them being in the same trial. But Bortlen taking the plea is just as good.
Issue here, and you can try them together. It is to the benefit of the state to try them together. It just more efficient. You don't have to do things again and again. Do it all at once, and also you get a better chance of having them incriminate each other during the trial. It benefits the defense to sever it. That way they can point the finger at each other and get away with it. So this is what's going on. But I don't think it should be automatically severed because the state is seeking penalty for Melly, because it's only the penalty phase of the trial that would be different, not the guilt phase. The guilt phase, it's the same. They're both capital crimes. You're seeking the penalty on one, not the other, but that goes into the second part of the trial, the penalty phase, only if Melly is found guilty.
Bortlen will make Melly be found guilty of the crime in his next trial, as he's detailing what really happened that night for his freedom. Because when the feds found papers that indicated Bortlen was going to tamper with the jury, it made the decision to take a plea that much easier.
Melly's co-defendant YNW Bortlen was booked into a Miami jail Monday night and is being held behind bars on an out-of-county warrant. We just confirmed the warrant is out of Broward County for witness tampering. The warrant obtained by Law and Crime Network states as follows. On or about April 10, 2023, continuing through and including July 22, 2023, Cortland Henry, aka Bortlen, along with others, did unlawfully and knowingly engage in misleading conduct toward another person with the intent to cause or induce them to withhold testimony. The warrant continues the alleged witness had been summoned by the legal process to the jury trial of Jamel Demons, aka YNW Melly. The dates in the warrant are important. Jury selection for Melly started in mid-April, and a judge declared a mistrial on July 22nd, the same day the warrant claims Bortlen allegedly tampered with a witness.
With it, announced, here are the images of alleged notes discovered during the home raid of Bortlen's home. But these photos of Bortlen detailing where certain jurors were sitting, with a description of what they looked like, as it looked like Bortlen was going to take out the jurors for Melly.
To keep it real, this is sloppy. Bortlen, how the f you gonna have the notebook of the jurors in your house? Holy sh! Like, come the f on! It's like doing a and having the surveillance tape in your DVD player or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, come on, bro! Like they raid your crib and the surveillance footage of the is in your DVD player. They be like, oh, okay, thank you, brother. This can't be at your crib.
To make Melly's second trial even worse, a new witness was added to testify against him because his ex-girlfriend returned to the United States after 3 years.
Mariah Hamilton is spending her first day at the Broward County Jail. She has no arrest record until now. U.S. Border Patrol agents arrested her at Miami International Airport Monday after she arrived on an international flight. Court records show Hamilton was ordered to testify in Demons' first trial in 2023.
In order to be released from jail, she accepted a deal that says she will testify in the next Melly trial, and she wrote to Facebook to say it was out of her hands. Thank you to my village. I love y'all so much. God's plan, not mine. Not only does Mariah know more information about the night of the crime, but Melly was the reason that Mariah left the country, because he told her to leave so she couldn't testify against him. This is witness tampering, which got added to his charges and carries a life sentence in prison as punishment.
The state filing 6 new charges against Demons and 2 others who were allegedly involved. The charges include tampering with a witness, directing the activities of a criminal, solicitation or conspiracy to commit tampering, and unlawful use of a two-way communication device. Now, a couple of those charges actually carry a life in prison sentence if there's a conviction.
The craziest part is that if Melly is found innocent of taking out Sack Chaser and Juvie, he still can face life in prison for the witness tampering, as Juvie's father exposed how Melly witnessed tampered in the case.
There was this kind of crazy way that Melly was communicating. He wasn't allowed to use the phone, but he was passing notes to people, and then this person's calling this person and then that person.
And like to me, they going through extreme measures, trying to cover up or convince people not to testify, like Mariah mom. They was using code words like Rihanna and A$AP Rocky's baby mom.
But Melly's mother is sad that Melly hasn't been allowed to use the jail phone for a year now, as it limits the communication they have.
My son has not been convicted of anything, and even other inmates that have been convicted or anything, they have the right to use a telephone. They have a right to be allowed to write letters to their loved ones, to receive their mail. They hold his mail, they don't give it to him.
As they took away his phone privileges because he used them to witness tamper. But Melly still misses her son. As she said, she's heartbroken.
When you saw Melly's statement, just saying how he's been hurt, how he's scared for his life, as a mother, how did that make you feel?
It's heartbreaking. It made me feel completely helpless. Broward Sheriff's Office definitely needs to be investigated. I mean, they are making up their own rules. We've tried to go to court about this situation. The judge really doesn't have any jurisdiction when it comes to the jail, because we actually had a hearing about the mistreatment of him, and the jail they make their own rules. And I don't think that's fair, because I know that they need to answer to someone too.
This got Charleston to speak on Melly's situation, and he said that Melly deserves it.
Even the YNW Melly, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated. Yeah, I'm so happy he in jail getting mistreated, homie. Homie, when you take a life, homie, you ain't got a right to complain about a motherfucking thing. About being mistreated when you done chose to play somebody.
Even Boozy spoke on the stress that his mother has gone through with the case.
Okay, so then I met his mama while he was in. Oh, okay. I met his mom while he was in, and she real, bro. You know, she real.
She's stressed out. I heard she had a.
Yeah, she real, and I reached my hand out to him, cause I'm real. Yeah, I reached out to him, bro. I met his mom, and she a good woman, bro. And when I see them mamas like that, it remind me of what my mom was going through, bro.
With Borland on the Fed's side now, he will be able to explain why Fredo Bang picked up Melly when the crime happened.
And Chris Thomas are. So what you're also going to find out is while Mr. Devins is out there on the side of the road, 4 in the morning, 4:42 specifically, he sends a drop pin, digital homing beacon, to his current location to one of his friends, Frederick Givens. Frederick Givens is also involved in the music industry, and he asked to be picked up. Frederick Givens then, about 11 minutes later, is sent another drop pin where Mr. Devins has moved a couple of meters. What you're going to find out as well, though, is these digital leashes, they have more than just phone call.
And they're throwing the book at Melly because they're also trying to get him for street team involvement, as they say that Melly was hanging out with young Thug who was in the red street team.
Same thing, the use of the slap term, 5-point star, snake. He's saying he's YSL, he's hanging with him. And he puts up his YNW for life hashtag on it with Mr. Devins has the big B hand signs displayed.
Right, and these individuals again, I'm assuming that's also Young Thug. That's also unknown.
Yes.
Also important to your investigation, correct?
Yes.
Also publicly available for anyone to see and capture.
This resulted in Melly allowing them to use it in court, but his lawyers didn't agree, as Melly got extremely angry when his lawyers began arguing with what he wanted.
Yes, sir.
Against our advice, our client wants to proceed.
You object to their request for me to determine this automatic stay.
Based upon what our client has instructed us, yes, sir.
People in the court heard that Melly was saying, "I don't care, I'm not in no gang." They can't prove that.
I'm aware that 924-071 call for an automatic stay while
they were aggravators. They go to membership in a gang. There are things that the jury would have to find before going into penalty.
Not aggravator, that's the death penalty. Aggravator, that's the enhancement itself, Your Honor. That was charged. He was charged in committing the murder for the further conviction, which is an aggravator in terms of the guilt.
Something that they would have to find by way of an interrogatory.
Yes.
Although, to add to the evidence against Melly, an old O-Black member says that he heard Melly ask King Van for advice on how to deal with people, as he didn't want to keep paying Sack Chaser and Juvie out of the business.